Schnauze! Du Hund! Du Hund! Du bist ein Hund! Du dreckiger Kelp! Ja, einfach jetzt die Schnauze halten, danke. Okay, let's go over to my Fischl. So, I use my Fischl as a Oz abuse. I don't really use herself unless there's a Rune Hunter and I need to hit a weak spot. So, looking over her overall stats, we have 70% crit rate, almost 90% crit damage, some little boost to energy recharge. I don't use her ult, so it doesn't really matter how much energy recharge we have. The elemental mastery is pretty great because when you have like a enemy affected by pyro, you can drop your Oz into and he'll do some elemental reaction, and if the elemental mastery is higher, the damage that's been output is obviously higher. So it is nice to have a bit of elemental mastery on Fischl. I have 60% electro damage bonus. This comes from an electro damage bonus goblet and the Thunder Fury set, if I recall the name correctly. Yeah, Thundering Fury, as you can see here, 2-piece set, and the other set is a Bloodstained Chivalry. I kind of want to replace it with a Noblesse piece, but right now I don't have one good one. What is also important is we have 3 constellations on Fischl. The one that's really important is that I think it's the second one. But when you summon Oz, it will have a AoE blast, as you can see here, 200% of its attack as damage, and in the AoE it will deal 50%, and that's pretty important. So you hit multiple enemies, or you can still use her even though if you don't have the second constellation, obviously. Her talents, as you can see here, I mainly focus on Knight Rider. Since I have her own constellation 3, her level goes up a bit more, and yeah, I can level it a bit more. As you can see here, if I level it a bit more, the summoning damage goes up and the overall attack damage is up too. Right now, I think when I summon Oz, I do like 6,000 on a crit. Obviously, it can go higher. As you saw earlier, my crit damage is not very high right now since I'm not mainly farming for her artifacts, and that's the main reason for it. Yeah. You can level her Midnight Phantasmagoria if you want to use it. I don't, so I stopped at level 6. Kind of wasted a bit of materials there and some more, but yeah, whatever. I was using her as a main DPS earlier, but now I'm not anymore. The weapon is the very decent hunt from the battle pass. It gives you a nice chunk of crit rate, and crit rate is very important in this game. And the passive is pretty nice. So when you hit enemies, there's a chance that you create like a cyclone, and that cyclone basically does a crowd control and crowds up the enemies, like the little ones, not the mature trolls or bosses. That doesn't work on them. And looking over the artifacts now, starting by the flower, as you can see here, the flower has 21% crit damage, which is pretty nice. And yeah, that's the main reason why I'm still using it. Also, the set is also important so that we can get the 15% electro damage bonus. Looking over the feather, I have this one. It is okay. I would like to have a alternative, such as a good Noblesse one, but right now I don't really have one. Yeah, since all my Noblesse feathers are like, yeah, could be better. But it's fine for some little auto attacks, as you get 25% more physical damage if you hit the 2-step piece. Looking at my Sense of Ian, I have HP percentage as the main stat, which is not very useful, especially since she doesn't scale off HP or something. And yeah, You want to have attack percentage on there and the substats crit rate, elemental mastery, attack percentage, and crit damage. And if I happen to find a good one, I'll replace it, obviously. But right now, I don't really have a good alternative. But yeah. So looking at the goblet, we want to have electro damage bonus as a main stat, and the substats crit damage, crit rate, elemental mastery, and energy recharge. And right now, the only one I'm missing is crit damage instead of the defense. But if I ever find a better one, I obviously will replace it. And then we have the mask. I went for a crit rate in the mask. Obviously, I could exchange it to a crit damage one. Like when we switch it, I still have 50% crit rate and 140% crit damage. But since he's like a support unit, I rather let my main DPS Kitching run the crit damage helmet. And yeah, that's basically it. Quick look over her overall stats right now. It's not the best, but for a support unit, it's totally fine. And I need to get this physical damage bonus away, and then I'm settled for her.